Poddin My Noggin, hosted by CK Sims, creating a platform to elevate, educate, and heal by creating a space where people can share their stories of struggle, triumph, and redemption. CKS Media.
Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Poddin My Noggin. Just like the last episode, we are also having technical issues. These ones are a little bit more grave, however. Today, we are joined by a lovely lady. I'm going to assume lovely. What's that phrase? Assume innocent until proven guilty. Is that how that goes? Yes. Lovely lady with a great story about a topic that I happen to love, pizza. So, Erica D'Arcangelo.
That's right.
Okay, because initially when I read it, I was going to say D'Arcangelo. Like, just because in French, you just kind of take the D and you smush it with the arc, right? Yeah. And you're probably wondering, why is he talking about French? Because I live in Quebec, in Canada. So you have written a book, right? And it's called not Astoria Pizza, as I read it. It's called A Story About Pizza.
Yes, that's right.
Was this your first book?
My first book. Published it middle of August.
Is it doing well?
It's doing pretty well, actually. I'm selling books, which makes me so happy. This was my dream.
Of course.
Yeah.
So I love this. And then so everybody out that's listening today, will link also in the show description and everything where you can pick up this book. Let's go back though, before we get too ahead of ourselves. We want to understand the story, but let's talk about Erica first. Where did Erica start out sort of thinking that she would want to write a book? Like, how did that come into play?
Okay, well, so it's kind of a funny story, but I've owned a marketing company and I've worked in the marketing industry for pretty much my whole life. For 20 years. And I was down in Tampa, and then a few years ago, my dad had heart surgery. Okay. And so my family and I decided we would go home, which was Western Pennsylvania, outside of Pittsburgh. So we'd go home for the year. And we got a house maybe 15 minutes from my parents, and my dad was recovering from surgery, and I really felt like we should go and do something a few days a week. And we've had our family pizzeria and our family since, my dad was born. And so I said, hey, how about if we go and you can work at the pizzeria and you can do what you do there, and I'll help you with your marketing, and I'll go and film some content. And I remember at the time my dad, he was a little bit grumpy, and he was like, I don't believe in marketing. I said, okay. I said, we'll just go together. It'll be nice. We'll drive in. And so he went in, and he actually got very inspired. Like, he renovated the building that my grandfather bought there in 1905, and he started to add things to the menu, and I was filming content. I was going through all the memorabilia that my grandparents had. And when we would drive back and forth, he would tell me all these stories about how my grandfather immigrated from Italy and opened the pizzeria. And I just became very inspired to write the story. And I decided to sit down one day, and I did an outline and interviewed, my parents and other family members. And I wrote the book. It took maybe over a year for me to write it.
Was writing a book ever on your, vision board, or something that you had thought about, previously?
I thought maybe I would write a marketing book, but then I just never was, creatively inspired to write it, I guess. And then, but this story was it almost had everything that inspired me, which was just a person who came from nothing, who immigrated to our country, had this dream, went through a lot of trials and tribulations in his life, and just never gave up, and had this loyalty to his family. And I just felt like this was just a story that should be told, not to mention, I love pizza. So, anything with Italian food, eating, and pizza, I was like, this is what I want to talk about.
So I'll share with you something that I don't think I really talk about much on this podcast, but I am very food motivated as a human being. So, and I moved to Quebec about, I guess we're coming up 6 years this summer. Now, my aunt, us being just English Irish folk from Newfoundland, Canada,
Mhm.
my aunt had married into an Italian family. And by default, because my aunt and I were so close, I then inherited not just an Italian family, but a nonna.
Oh.
And I know. And she's no longer with us. She
Yeah.
passed a few years back. But I got to experience something that I don't know if everybody in their life has the true beauty of experiencing a Nona's love in cooking. Because how that works is
Yeah.
magic. They won't tell you what their secret is. They just said a little bit of salt and pepper, some chili peppers. That's it. There's not much. No. But how does it taste so, like heaven, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Italian food for me too is just like, I don't know if there is a better food. There's
Yeah.
lots of great food, but I don't know if there's a better food than Italian food, especially like made from people who lived in Italy,
Yeah.
right? And
Yes.
it's just it's an experience. So if you ever have a chance to get adopted by a nonna or a nonna,
Hmm.
get adopted.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you something now. I can't eat lactose, and she changed her recipe for me.
Wow.
That is how I knew she loved me.
Oh my
Because that's
gosh.
a
That's
big deal.
amazing.
I
I
didn't
bet
know
it
it was
was
a
still
big deal.
delicious.
What?
I said, I bet it was still delicious.
She because it was lactose free cheese versus regular free cheese.
Yeah.
So the difference is not massive, right?
Yeah.
But the fact that she considered doing it and then just did it so that I could always eat with them
Yeah.
was like, and at the time I didn't understand the cultural significance of that. So, but then I was told later, like, what? She changed her recipe for you? And I'm like, so yeah, so I understand. And luckily, one thing I will say by closing up, because this is not about me, it's about you and your story, but when she did pass a few years back, I thought that that magic had died with her.
Yeah.
It didn't. It lives in her granddaughter, who is like a 23-year-old Nona. She's not really a Nona, but she has the
Yeah.
same magic and ability to just make things so incredibly delicious. With the magic is still very much alive there.
I love that. You know, after my grandparents passed, I had a daughter, and my daughter has been so talented at baking and cooking. And I almost feel that same way where like the magic of that is still alive because everything she makes is like so delicious. And I'm like, I feel like she has some gift that was like passed down.
See, I get goosies. I
Yeah.
literally do because I really believed that when Nona left us, that her magic left us with her, and it
Yeah.
just did not. It is in. It was. I don't know if it was dormant in Regina or if it was always there, but it's very much alive. And I
Wow.
keep telling her every day. I'm like, every time you make a dish, you are making your Nona smile
Yeah.
because it's artistry, I think, when you
Yeah.
can cook like that or bake like that.
Yeah.
So the story is of your grandfather,
Yes.
and you said 1905 he
Yeah.
opened the store. That wasn't yesterday.
No.
So give us the without obviously we want people to go and buy this book, but give us the early days of your grandfather's life.
Absolutely. So you have my grandfather and his parents, and he had three brothers, and they came over on a boat from Abruzzo, Italy. And they landed in Ellis Island, like a lot of Italian immigrants did. And they ended up going to a small coal mining town called Windber, PA. Now, the reason that they went there is because the Berwyn White Coal Company had opened a bunch of coal mines, and a lot of the immigrants were getting jobs within the coal mines. And so they moved to this little town, and funny enough, on the east end of Wimber, it was called Little Italy, and all the Italians lived on the east end of Wimber. And then on the west end of Wimber, you had the Irish, the Polish, and the Slovakians. And the people who ran the coal mines, they didn't want the different people to mix, because at that time there was no union. And there were a lot of injustices in the coal mine. I think my grandfather was maybe 14 or 15 years old, and he was pulled out of school and he went to work in the mines. He never finished school. And when they came over, his family, they didn't have anything. They came over with simple suitcase, the clothes on their back, and they went there and just worked hard for so much of their life. And this whole time, my grandfather has this dream of, pizza, and he wants to open this pizzeria and market, and he wants to take care of his family. And then so one day, what happens is the coal mines close, and then it goes through his journey of how he chases this dream, and this dream is pizza.
I love this. I do love this. I think that's fantastic. First of all, it's so bizarre too when you think back, like you having a 14-year-old being pulled out of school to go work in a coal mine.
Yeah.
The stuff that would not fly today.
Never.
Like it wouldn't even be considered.
Yeah.
Right? And then we think about our own 14 and 15-year-olds who, the world is we often think about the world as such an ugly place sometimes and damaging and all of that sort of thing, and all the things that, the kids do have to go through today, which I'm not dismissing at all, because I think it's different, but it's just different.
Yeah.
Go working in a coal mine at 14 or 15 years old. That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's crazy. And then to not have the protections of unionized environments.
Yeah.
To probably have underlining cultural conflicts with the Irish and the Slovakians and all of those different things that we just wouldn't really think about today in a workplace, right? Because we work with everybody, all cultures, races, creeds, beliefs, the whole thing. Like we work with them, and we're fine with that because that's what integration looks like, and whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But to think about that, and so they close. So I mean, if they're closing, how old was he when they closed?
So he was a grown man at that point. He was married, and I believe that my grandmother may have been pregnant with her first child, which is my aunt. And then my father was born. I mean, I think they first opened an Italian market. So they bought the building, they had the market, and they weren't making ends meet at first. And so they thought, okay, what can we do to kind of make ends meet, take care of the family? I think my grandmother was pregnant with my dad at the time. And that was around 1960. And that's when they opened the pizzeria. It was 1960.
So the original building in 1905 was an Italian market.
It was a building that was owned by Berwyn White Coal Company. And my grandfather he had saved his money for his whole life working in the mines, and he ended up buying the building.
That's crazy. How much does the building cost? You said that this was purchased in the 60s?
He purchased the building, I think, in the 50s, and I think he paid like something like $28,000 or $30,000 for it at that time. Yeah. But that was his life savings. That was a lot of money to him.
Yeah. I mean, it's nothing to us now to think you can buy a commercial building for $28,000.
Yeah, like where?
Yeah, exactly where. And if it was on the market, you'd be like, why?
Yeah,
Why
exactly.
So $28,000 is a lot of money back in those days, in the 1950s for sure.
Yeah.
I always think about the cost of housing back then as well. Like where we live in Quebec right now, if we were to appraise our homes, the amount of money that they would cost to purchase now versus what they cost to purchase when it was initially purchased in 68, it's like astronomically different. It makes no sense because our wages haven't gone that way in that inflation, right?
Yeah.
But so he purchased the building. It's a Italian market at first. They were not making ends meet, but then they decided they were going to switch it completely to a pizzeria, or added the pizzeria as a part of the building.
So they started selling pizza like as part of the market. And then they did like initially takeout. And then eventually they had set up some tables and chairs, and people would come in and eat.
This is lovely.
Yeah.
And so I'm assuming that also with the introduction of the pizza, which was his dream,
Yeah.
this would start to attract more because it's no longer a market. You have ready-made, ready-to-eat foods, I guess, if you would, right? So
Yeah.
that will attract other clientele.
Yeah, and I mean, people started to come in. The people in Windber were very loyal, and everyone knew my grandfather because he had worked in the coal mines. And so all the people started to come in, and then it sort of became like after the football game on Friday, it was the high school hangout, and the place would be full, and all the high school kids would hang out there. And then they would have dinners there, and people started to have, engagement parties and baby showers, and it just became the place. And now, here, 65 years later, it's still the place.
I love this. And I love that it exists. You know what I mean? And this is one of the cool things about having a podcast. We spoke briefly before we hit film, but like you get to meet these really incredible people with really incredible stories. And then in this particular situation, we're having a conversation right now about a place that exists in real life today
Yeah.
that when I find myself in that area, which I haven't yet, but now I might, because I
Yes.
might be like, I'm going to just take a side trip. How far away from somewhere I would normally visit is this? And let me go there.
Yes.
You could go in and actually have a slice of the pizza that this book is written about, and this
Yeah.
podcast is about. And so did the recipe change much
No.
over the years, or is the because now I'm thinking we're about all the things, right? So like
Yeah.
the pizza sauce recipe that he started using,
Hmm.
that would have been his recipe or his wife's recipe.
His recipe, same sauce, same spices. He did the spices. He did the sauce. Same dough recipe. The only difference is, and I will tell you, we have both pizzas. So when the original pizza began, we used a Parmesan, a white American, and a mozzarella cheese. And then later, my grandfather switched out the white American for provolone. But we have both pizzas. We have the traditional, which is the provolone, the mozzarella, and the parm. And then we have something called the 1960 Diorx Original Pizza, which is the white American cheese, the mozzarella, and the Parmesan. And it's like a creamy, almost, because that white American cheese is like a creamy cheese.
Well, that's what I was going to say. So it's so interesting. I'm enjoying this conversation. It's making me think of so many things. Years and years and years ago, we're talking about 25 years ago. I was in New York City at a diner, and I was ordering a poutine because in
Mm-hmm.
Canada that's very big, right? So, and they asked me at that time, what type of cheese I want, mozzarella, American cheese, or whatever.
Yeah,
So I said, I'm like, I'm in America. I'll have American cheese. But I
sure.
didn't know what American cheese was. So when they brought out my poutine, it was just a Kraft cheese single slice on top of the fries with gravy. And I'm like, what have I done?
Yeah.
So, but now I'm thinking, so it's white American cheese.
Mm-hmm.
So it would taste different. And
Tastes
then
different.
mixed in with mozzarella and Parmesan, that would be very creamy.
It's very delicious.
Oh, if I wasn't lactose intolerant, I'd totally order that.
Well, we have a tomato pepper pizza that
Tomato.
has it's a special sauce. So my mother is a master gardener. So she grows, I mean, all kinds of things. So we get a lot of the peppers and the tomatoes from the garden. We have San Marzano tomatoes. And then my father makes this special sauce, which is like a little bit spicy with peppers. And then we put it on like the homemade pizza dough, because we make the pizza dough every day that we're open. And then we put that in the oven, and it's super delicious. And then you can sprinkle a little bit of parm on it, but you can also have it without. But it's my sister's favorite pizza in our shop.
So I feel like for me, so
Mm-hmm.
there's this element of um, we're just gonna. There's memes, right, that you see
Yeah.
online about like people who are lactose intolerant or allergic to certain foods. They're
Yeah.
like, maybe today I won't be. We'll try. I feel like I would go with a friend
Yeah.
and say, okay, I want to try the original or the traditional
Yep.
and the original and what you just said as well. But like the other two, I just want like to cut a piece of the crust, like a very a thin piece off the side to taste it because it sounds delicious. Like
It's
it
so
really does
delicious.
sound delicious. Like I totally would want the traditional just to see like what it was that he started with,
Yeah.
and then the original Diarc's original, and then the traditional as well. Yeah. So I love pizza, and there is this weird theory I have that sometimes I don't know why, and maybe you do, but sometimes I can eat pizza with cheese on it, and it doesn't impact me
Mm-hmm.
the same way that if I would say to eat a piece of cheesecake. Don't know why that is. It could be that the pizza cheese is aged more. I don't know, or because it's whatever. I know that the longer it ages, the less lactose that's in it because of the enzymes that eat it.
Sure.
Um, so I know that a Balderson 4-year aged cheese I can eat without issue.
Well, apparently Parmesan is good for that.
So yeah, so Parmesan is one of my safe cheeses, and I can just
Yeah.
enjoy with no issue whatsoever. But I will obviously we're talking about Little Caesars. Sorry, because we were they
Sure.
have they have a cheese, whatever cheese they use. I can have a couple slices of their cheese, and it really has zero impact on me.
Wow, I wonder why.
I don't know why, and I Googled it, and I just wish that I had Neil deGrasse Tyson on speed dial because he seems to have the answer to everything. So
Yeah.
I'd be like, just text him and be like, why is this? You know what I mean? So if you're out watching Neil, come on the podcast. I have a lot of questions. So you wrote this. We're going to take a break. We'll be right back, everybody.
Life in Stitches by C.K. Sims. Available for purchase in paperback and ebook on all major platforms. Partner today with C.K. Sims and Poddin My Noggin to get in front of an audience that cares. You will be supporting mental health stories, tales of resilience, and uplifting content, aligning your brand with bringing goodness, authenticity, and kindness front and center. This spot could be yours. Do you have a story of struggle and resilience? One that you want to share with others and possibly help someone through their own struggles? Find the link in the show description and fill out the guest form today.
Welcome back, everybody. Before the break, we are talking to Erica D'Arcangelo, and she wrote a book called A Story About Pizza. And it's Diarc's Pizza, located in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, right?
Right outside of Pittsburgh, a little town called Windber.
Okay, right outside of Pittsburgh in a little town called Windber. Now that I'm thinking, I'm like, I don't think Pittsburgh is that far from New York City.
It's not.
It's a train. You can train there.
Yeah, like 6 hours, I think. It's not too far.
6 hours. We won't talk about this today, but I have driven that distance for a specific food once.
It's worth it.
Yeah, so I totally want to try this. So you wrote a book. You had talked about the fact that your dad had to have heart surgery. You went in and you started helping him out in the shop. He decided to renovate. You did some marketing, all of those things, and he would tell you stories about the shop on your drives home. So what's different today versus what was there 65 years ago?
So, okay, it's the same building,
Yeah.
but it's a little bit different because we kind of moved the kitchen back and we opened it up so we have a lot more like dine-in space.
Okay. So
And
would it be like an actual full-fledged restaurant now?
oh yeah,
Oh, it is?
it's a
Okay.
full-fledged restaurant. And So in the beginning, my grandfather made two pizzas. It was a rectangular pizza, 15 slices, plain and pepperoni. Now we have 16 different pizzas, and these are all from my dad going to Italy and family recipes. And then, funny enough, when we were growing up, one of my brothers, he did not like to eat square pizza. So my mom started making him a very thin round pizza, and we named it a Mike's pie. So we have Mike's pies now. So all 16 pizzas, we make them in a traditional tray or a Mike's pie, depending on what kind of pizza you want.
Okay, so now this is interesting. I love that because kids are great. I'm like, I don't like square pizzas. Um, and I get, you know what though? It's a preference thing. I'm sure it's got something to do with texture or the fact that there's some slices don't have a crust, right?
Yeah.
So I mean, I get it. I totally get it. But so now you have a thin crust type option. So when you so these recipes come from the family, and you went to Italy to get a lot of them. Is it are the pizzas made in Italian style or Western style?
So I would say Italian style because like we get like the unbrominated, unbleached flour. So we have like the Italian flour, and it's really from what my grandfather, brought over. And we've
Okay.
kept everything the same. Like for example, my Aunt Rose, who was from Italy too, she would make homemade chicken cutlets. And so we have like chicken cutlets we still make, and we make a chicken parm sandwich, and we have homemade meatballs. We have a meatball appetizer. We do focaccia bread with a meatball appetizer with melted cheese on it, or you can get it without cheese. But just those things, like my grandfather used to make hot sausage, so we have an appetizer with that, with focaccia. So it's all things that our family kind of made throughout history.
I love this so much, like literally, because as you're like talking about the different things, I'm like, yeah, we got that, like being adopted
Yeah.
into really Italian family.
GPSing it from like where you are right now.
Yeah, so like, where is this? How do I get there? Stat. So you can go in, sit down. Is there table service? Do you walk up?
Yeah, no, we have waitresses now. And like, and when my grandfather had it, he had a bunch of coolers, and people would just go get their drink and then they would go up and order. But now we have like, fountain drinks. We have a bar. We have like a full wine and drink bar. And my dad, he orders different Italian wines. And then we do a charcuterie board now, which is super nice. My mom owns a jam company. It's called DRX Family Jam, and so she picks all the fruit and she sells the jam. It's until she runs out for the season, and so we have the jam on the charcuterie board.
So it's not in stores, Durox Family Jam.
You can buy it online, and then she sells it like she sells it at DRX Pizza. She sells it at a couple different farms and like small places that vendors that we've talked to locally.
Is there
But
a raspberry?
yeah, oh, there's a red raspberry, there's a blackberry, there's a black raspberry, there's a peach jalapeno. I don't know what she still has this season, but I just updated the website.
A peach jalapeno.
Oh, it's so good.
But it sounds good.
It's so good.
It sounds good. The sweet with the spicy. Like, that
Mhm.
sounds delicious. Oh my
I
God.
make a pizza with it, and the sauce base is the peach jalapeno jam. And then I do like a sharp cheddar on it with some Parmesan, and I cut jalapenos and fresh peaches, and I put it on there. It is such a good pizza. It's like a sweet, spicy pizza.
It sounds divine.
It's
Like,
so
literally
good.
divine. Like, I'm over here dying. I ate before I came here, but I am hungry again. Um, oh my gosh. So you have the family pizza, you have the family jam. Your mom owns a jam company.
Hmm.
She's a master gardener.
Yeah.
Your dad got the cooking gene as well from the grandfather.
Oh, my dad is such a good Italian cook. Yeah, and like in the book, so I'll have to send you a copy of the book. If you send me your address after this, I'll send it. But each chapter has a recipe from the family at the end of each chapter.
I will
So
send you. I will send you the address, but I will also review on a
yes.
separate podcast, and I will do. I'll put out some social media posts about after I finish reading it,
I love
because
it.
I've done that a couple times this year, and I've had people on, and we've talked about the book and what I loved about the book. Then, if I really love it, you'll probably get a message like, "Okay, you need to come back on." So
Oh,
we can,
I would love to. I would really love to.
because I love, so reading is my first love. It
Yeah.
always has been. And so when I get sent a book, like, it's not a job, it's like I go under my quilts, as I mentioned
Yes.
before, and just read it. And then if there's actual recipes in there, I probably won't try to attempt them, but I might run downstairs and be like, "Can you make that?"
Yes.
Because
Yes.
that's where she
You
is.
want the pasta visual. That's my dad's recipe for the pasta visual. And
Okay.
it's super delicious. Like he puts like a little bit of like a hot sausage in there and he puts vegetables from the garden. And it's almost like a pasta visual, like a minestrone hybrid. And it's so delicious.
Yeah, that sounds wonderful. So you wrote a book. It's out. I'm going to get a copy. I'm excited.
Yes.
And then I have to like come to Pittsburgh. Win. I don't remember this name. Winton.
Wimber.
Winber. I have to write this
Yep.
down. Winb.
Dber.
Oh, so really Windber. Okay,
Yeah,
Windber.
Wimber. Yeah.
Okay, so, and it's outside of Pittsburgh in Pennsylvania, and it's called D Arc's Pizza. So you wrote this book. It's selling. You're selling actual copies of the book, which is
Yeah.
amazing. Is the book up in the store, in the restaurant?
Yeah, they keep selling out. In fact, my dad and my uncle sent me like we're on a group text and they sent me a picture today. Like they just ordered a ton more books. So they sent me like the Amazon box today. So I thought it was really cute.
Oh, I love this. So, like, how amazing is that, though? Like, I mean, it's
Yeah.
family owned. It's entrenched in family history.
Yeah.
And so your grandfather's no longer with us.
No.
When did he pass? Do you
He
mind
passed in
asking?
1999.
1999.
Yeah.
And it was a restaurant by then, or it took on that shape afterwards?
It was a restaurant, but it was a lot smaller, maybe half the size. And then my dad decided to renovate, and that's when we kind of moved the kitchen back. And we had to get two ovens because one oven wasn't enough. And we got really busy. Like I started to do TikTok videos a couple years ago, and we ended up going viral on TikTok. So now it's really busy all the time.
I can imagine, right? So, like,
Yeah.
it's interesting how TikTok works, because you go TikTok viral, then you've like landed space in the millennial brain.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I
And
went to bed and I woke up the next day and we had 1 million views, and I was like, what
what was
happened?
the video about?
They're all cutting pizzas.
So I've seen some videos on cutting pizzas, so there's a high probability that I have probably watched one of your, if not multiple, of your TikToks. I'm curious about staff. Does he have, like, I mean, I know when he started, it was him and his wife, and it was probably just them for many, many years.
Yeah.
But are there any original staff, like, that have stuck around?
Yeah. Yeah. So my Aunt Rose's son, so we do the porchette sandwiches, just, we roast it for days and we have like the homemade rolls. He still makes the porchettes every week. He comes in and he's been doing that for like 30 years,
I
maybe
love
longer than that. And
that.
then we had a cousin who she worked there, I mean, from the time she was a teenager to like recently.
That's just I think I love it because of the legacy,
Yeah.
right? I think legacies like that are beautiful. And you don't hear, because everybody's all like commercialism and like shiny new, what's hot, what's trending, like all of this stuff. And we fail so often as a race of humans, humankind, if you will, to just stop and take a look at some of the things that have stood the test of time, that have such deep stories attached to them.
Yeah.
And, like, for me, if I were to have been in Pittsburgh and just walked by the store and then had a piece of pizza, I'm sure it would have been delicious, and I would have thought, I'm like, that was a really good piece of pizza.
Yeah.
If I go back there, I'm going to have that again. But then when you start to learn the story of a place, it's not even like the characters, it's the people. To know that your grandfather worked in a coal mine until they closed, and he saved every dollar to try and open this pizza dream that he
Yeah.
had. He was motivated by pizza, and who's not motivated by pizza?
I know, right?
Like, come on, it's
Yeah.
pizza. So, but I think that that's the part that's really beautiful. So, and then when you're talking about, you have your, it was your cousin who makes the porchettes.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well, my dad's cousin, but you know, in an Italian family, that's your cousin.
it's true. Yes. And um, so for 30 years. So, and then you had another cousin, I think it was another
Yeah.
cousin. Yeah, who worked from a teenager till recently. So really, if you're looking at this, it's been a family affair.
Oh yeah.
And
Our
it's
whole family has worked there. Like I folded boxes. My grandfather paid me 10 cents a box when I was 8 years old, and then made pizzas and ran the ovens, and I waitressed, and he ran the cash register, and now I do the marketing. So you could say, I pretty much worked there my entire life, above and beyond everything else.
this is fantastic. I love it. And I just love that. I just think it's fantastic. Your dad's doing okay.
Yeah,
It's been a few years since the heart surgery.
he's
We
doing great.
Yeah, we that's something we have in common. So my father also had to have heart surgery
Okay.
and a valve replacement.
Yeah, same. A leaky duct or something valve. Yeah.
Yeah, and he's got a little bit of pig in him right now, like a little pig valve is what he has.
Wow.
That's what they had to go with. He didn't want the clicky one because it made
Hmm.
noise.
Yeah.
So he's 15 years post and still doing well. So it's it's one of those things. So what is next? So you've got this book. We're gonna plug it. I'm gonna make sure that people go out and buy it. But then not on once you buy the book, once you read the book, then you absolutely have to take the pilgrimage to go to Windber, Pennsylvania, to go to D Arc's Pizza.
Hmm.
Like I think that that's like a 2025 goal. No, like I
Bucket
think that
list.
that's a pretty good goal to like go on that journey, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that that's a really good goal to go on that journey and then do a TikTok standing outside eating it.
Yes,
They,
absolutely.
like this would be, yeah, I'll do the video. Somebody else can post the TikTok, but this is fantastic. So, what is next for you? Because you're the writer behind the story. Like I know the story it's based on family history and legacy and dreams and all of those things. What is next for you? And then what do you want people to take away from what you've done with the book, but also the legacy in which your family has built?
Sure. So I'm actually doing a children's book series on pizza and Italian culture. And the first book, I just finished it 3 days ago, and it's going to be up for pre-order, I think, in about 2 weeks. And then it's going to be released on the 10th of February, which is National Pizza Day.
I didn't know it was National Pizza.
Yeah.
So February 10th, you said?
Yeah, February 10th. And I can send you a reader's copy of that.
Sure.
Yeah, absolutely. Um,
Um,
so
because
yeah,
I
that's
will review it as well.
Yeah, that's the next one. And then we're doing a docuseries on pizzerias. We're going to start with our pizzeria, and we're going to release that probably right after the first of the year. And that's our next creative goal, because I have a video production company, so we've been doing video for a long time.
This is so cool. So like look at the layers of this onion. Just keep going down, right? So
Yeah,
you have a video so because you had mentioned you were in marketing. So you for over 20 years or about
yeah.
20 years. And then when you first said that I was like that's not true. I'm like what are you 28, 29? Like like so but
Thank you.
okay. Um so you've got the video production company as well. So you
Mhm.
went around to pizzerias in like Pennsylvania or like the area. Like, how many did you visit?
So right now we have started with the first one, which is our pizzeria in Windber, PA.
It's a
But
docu-series. Hi, Curtis.
yeah, it's
Thank
going to
you.
be a docu-series. So we have a bunch of other ones, like just from our family, anywhere we go on pizza tours. And so we have like a list of pizzerias of where we're going to hit up. And so that's kind of our plan, is to hit up like our top 10, top 20 to begin with. And then I think after that, once we get like recommendations from people, we can start hitting up more and more pizzerias. And we go there anyway. We like to eat, so this is just going to be the added.
Where can people view the first docu-series? That's
YouTube.
set to come out when again?
I think we're going to probably be ready for the first episode, maybe the end of January, but it'll be on a story about pizza, the YouTube. We have a book trailer video up right now on there that talks about the book.
Okay. So I'm going to link that website for sure.
Okay.
And then I'm going to link your YouTube. Because how fun is that to
So
like go and
fun.
do a docu-series on pizzerias? Like,
Yeah.
and of course you're going to start at your one because you're yours. It's the best.
Yeah. Yeah. We
Sorry,
like
everybody
pizza.
else who may not agree now. Like, want to start any like wars or anything like that. But I feel like pizza is one of those things. No, this place makes the best pizza. No, this place makes the best pizza.
Yeah.
But I think every pizza that's made, especially if it has so much story behind it as yours does, especially if it's made with like original recipes from Italy,
Yeah.
like each pizza can be the best in its own regard.
Oh,
Like it
yeah.
can stand on its own, right? Because
Yes.
of the story that's attached to it. So you've got a kids book coming out, a kids series, you
Yeah.
said, and it's about Italian culture
Hmm.
and pizza. It's going to be
Yeah.
released on February 10th, and that's National Pizza Day. So everybody listening, what is the book called again?
It's called Pietro's Pizza.
Pietro's. Oh, I love this. Pietro's Pizza. So
Yeah.
Pietro's Pizza, and if you look for it in the beginning of 2025, it'll be on pre-order at that time. So make sure to pre-order yourself a copy. Then a story about pizza by Erica D'Arcangelo
Mhm.
is out now for purchase. You can buy that on Amazon, maybe Barnes
I
and
mean,
Noble, those particular places.
anywhere, you can find books online, it's there.
Perfect. And also, just go. You can pick up a local copy, a
Yeah,
hard
you can.
and an actual slice of the pizza if you visit them in Windber, Pennsylvania, which
Yeah.
is like somewhere now I have to add to my 2025 destination list.
Yeah, my dad will even sign it if you go into the restaurant. He's people have brought him books to sign, and he's really excited about signing the books.
I love this though. I love it. And also we have the docu series. And is there a name to your docu series?
Not yet, not yet, but it'll be on the YouTube channel. And it's the YouTube channel and then a story about pizza.
Okay,
Yeah.
perfect. So look out for the docu series starting this year in
Yeah.
2025. Sorry, that's going to go around to different pizzerias. It's going to start with Diarc's Pizza. Sorry, that's how I almost did the French thing. Diarc's Pizza, Diarc's Pizza, and who knows? While you are in Tampa and they are in Pittsburgh, you might run into Erica in the restaurant.
Yeah. I'll be there next week.
There you go. So go see
Yeah.
Erica in the restaurant next week. Get a pizza, get a book, get a
Yeah.
signed autograph from both the dad and Erica. Come on.
Yes.
Like, that's pretty wicked. Erica, thank you so much for being on the show. I really appreciate it.
Thank
Is
you.
there anything you want people to know, take away from what you've done, the story, your grandfather's story, any of those things?
Sure. I mean, the message is just never give up on your dreams, and nothing good usually comes easy. So, if you have something in mind and you want to do it, just keep plugging away.
And I love that because when I read that on your page, you'd written that
Yeah.
nothing that is really worth having ever comes easy.
Yeah.
You have to work at it, and there's always going to be ups and downs. And I think that's such a really powerful message. because if life was just easy, it wouldn't be interesting,
It's
right?
true.
And then look at your grandfather who had that dream and he persisted, even though after he started, he wasn't making ends meet. He persisted. And now here we are in 2024 having a podcast episode about a book that you've written, about the restaurant that he started that's still open and still thriving
Yeah.
and has inspired so many other cool creative things. So
Yeah.
don't stop believing in your dreams and always keep working hard towards it. Thank you so much for being here. And to everyone at home, until next time, enjoy your holidays. It's the holiday season, so enjoy that. And we'll connect again soon.
For media and sponsorship inquiries, email info@ccsims.com or visit ccsims.com and fill out the contact form. Be sure to subscribe so you don't miss an episode. A new episode airs every Saturday. CKS Media.